All right, welcome everybody. My name is Luis Trevino. I'm the CEO here at Engage. I am on the line for the success interview of our 100K Club, who has just recently been joined by Dr. Narthan Dustin. Dr. Narthan, say hi.
My name is Dr. Narthan Dustin. I have been a dentist for about 24 years, and I operate 4 dental practices in the Pacific Northwest, specifically in the Portland and Vancouver area.
Awesome. And for how long? And so when we first started working together, we really started to work on ramping up your Invisalign cases and getting more starts for Invisalign. How has that been for you so far?
It's been good. I have been a longtime Invisalign provider. But I wanted to increase my cases, and Engage came along and helped me to generate leads for our cases. One of the hard parts about dental marketing is that you pay a lot of money for and sometimes not good results. And so Engage's concept fit with us because you pay for the leads that come in, which I really like.
Yeah. So, based off performance, right? A lot of marketing companies will charge just big marketing retainers or just generate leads, or even just you pay for the lead. But we say all the time, like at the end of the day, who cares about the number of leads I got? What I care about is the number of people that showed up and how many started treatment, right? So what was my return on investment? So, what were some of the things that have helped you guys get the result that you've gotten with our program, right? Because, I mentioned this before, right? Where I say at the end of the day, if marketing's great, but sales isn't, then it's not going to work, and vice versa, right? If you have a great sales team that's great at doing consultations, is getting people started on treatment, but you don't have the leads coming in, well, then, then it's not going to work, right? Both of those elements need to be there so that ultimately we can get the best result possible. So one of the things that, you guys have been great at is just getting people started on treatment. That being said, one of the things that I know makes a really big difference or not in people starting treatment is financing, right? So in your practice, do you offer in-house financing? Do you offer Care Credit, Green Sky? Or how do you go about getting a person to say yes? Because you guys actually have almost a 50% start rate. So out of, I think you've had 57 consults, 26 of those people have started treatment. That's really good. You know what I mean? Half of those have started treatment. That's really good when it comes to just getting people to say yes to treatment. What's the secret sauce? What are you guys doing?
To be honest, we're continually refining that process.
Yeah, so we offer 4 options. We try not to overwhelm people. And the first option is one that is something that is able to give them an additional discount, which some people really like the thought of that. They're like, ooh, a discount that I didn't know about, which was really nice. The next option is in-house financing. It's a no interest option. I work with them. I try to make it really personalized. We do a down payment and then we do a monthly payment option. The next one, it does work with Care Credit. That's another option that is no interest. We pay the interest. That's another benefit that I like to emphasize to our patients.
Sure.
The Care Credit option goes for 12 months and it doesn't require a down payment because sometimes that down payment is a barrier.
For sure.
And then the fourth option that we offer is also through Care Credit. It's a longer option. They can do up to 60-month plans. Those ones we do pass the interest on to the patients, but it makes their monthly payments lower. I always emphasize you can pay it off faster with no penalties. Yeah, and I'd say our most popular probably is the in-house 50% down payment with the remainder over 6 months. That seems probably to be our most popular.
Yeah, and so that's actually really good because I feel like, and I know this was even more of a thing during the pandemic, right? When the pandemic hit and we were just kind of getting out of it, right? A lot of the credit companies, Care Credit, I honestly name them, right? They just weren't qualifying as many people as they used to, right? And it was obviously because all this, everything was unprecedented. And really offering an in-house option really became the main thing. And I think you guys have done a really great job of also kind of differentiating yourselves, but then also offering pricing that's competitive, and offering really great financing options, because especially for dentists, if you can get somebody to say yes, and maybe, you know, you mess around with your pricing or different things like that, or with your financing, well, then you just acquired a customer, right? Which is the most important thing when it, and just in advertising in general, because you acquired somebody, and then now what's going to happen, right? They're going to stay with you, and the lifetime value of that patient becomes, I mean, I don't know, right? But you know, it becomes twofold, threefold, fivefold, whatever. But then in addition to that, you just got the entire family, you know, if they have a family, if it's a family unit, right? That being said, have you noticed that some of the people that have come in, like, you do end up having to pitch more of this like smile transformation? So not only do they need Invisalign, but maybe before they need Invisalign, they need to do some, you know, some cavity work, some dental cleaning or something along those lines?
The patient becoming a patient beyond just Invisalign, that's a really good point. And we have experienced that in our practice. And that's been an exciting part about working with Engage, is getting those long-term patients. Having said that, we try to, on our initial consultation with our Engage leads, we try to focus on the reason that they came in. And so we are not trying to turn that appointment into a comprehensive exam. Yes, we're mentioning to them that we see some other dental needs, but we tell them, hey, that's not the purpose of today's visit. We're not focusing on that today. And patients seem to be good with that.
Yeah.
They came in for a specific reason. And so we're trying to deliver on that promise of why they came in.
So let's take it from the beginning, right? Like, we generate the lead schedules a consult on your calendar, right? First question that I have to that, when somebody schedules, do you guys call them beforehand to collect insurance information and build rapport and all that good stuff? Or how do you go about that?
So the automated system, we've modified it to send them a link with our paperwork. We used to just do it manually through our system, but now you guys are doing it automatically through your system. And then we do confirmation calls prior to the appointment. And I would say 50% answer.
Yeah. Not everybody's going to answer, but you know, 50% is pretty good. Now, when you get them on the phone, like, is there a certain process that you follow, or are you just trying to, like, you know, just get that insurance information?
I would actually say that our other front office, Tammy, is doing most of those confirmation calls. So I kind of just let her, when I hear her, she's letting them know what to expect. Making sure they know where we're located, reminding them to complete the paperwork link if they haven't already, and then trying to collect the insurance information as well. So I think, you know, she has quite a few little boxes that she's checking off when she does that.
All right. And then they come in for the appointment. Like, what's the first thing that happens when they walk through the door?
Well, they're welcomed, of course, and thanked for coming to the office. The automated system requests that they actually give us a phone call before they come in. And I'd say, again, about half of them actually do that. So maybe the first thing that they actually is hearing, again, us on the phone. Then they come in, welcomed, and then if they didn't do their paperwork online, we would have them complete our forms here. And then one of the assistants would bring them back and kind of discuss a little bit more of their situation before Dr. Dustin meets them.
Gotcha. Okay, so then you get them on the seat. When you get them on the seat, you have somebody else that kind of just does the initial, like, you know, the scans, or like, do you do any scans, or is it just you get them on the seat and you go straight just for a consultation?
So one thing I find, Luis, is that it's a numbers game, right? And so the more people that we can that come through your system, the more chance that we have of putting somebody in front of me and my team, and that increases our chances of success.
For sure.
And so we're always looking for ways to increase show rate. And one of those things is the paperwork, right? And you think, well, the paperwork is that really vital? But we have found, and I'm sure other practices as well, if we know that a person that's coming through Engage has filled out their office paperwork, their entrance paperwork ahead of time, then we have a high expectation that patient is going to come. Key indicator for us that they're actually going to show up. Yes, Janae has outlined the process of how they enter into our practice. We sit them in the chair, and then I like to come in as soon as I can. We do not block out any time in my column for these appointments. We fit them in with whatever else I'm doing. We've just allowed for Engage to have a column of availability.
Yes.
And we don't restrict that availability. We just make it happen.
And basically, so you're basically like, you're doing rounds per se, right? And so as soon as you have like some availability, somebody's already waiting there, you just quickly go in there and you talk to them, right?
Yeah, it takes me, it probably takes me 15, maybe 20 minutes for my part of the consultation. And so I'm fitting that in with, anesthesia or a break for an exam or whatever I do in the middle of the course of my day. I like to come in and introduce myself, build some trust with the patient, learn a little bit about their story, discover where they're from. And then I usually just have them tell me their dental story, and everybody has a dental story.
Yes.
And so they want to tell you about, whatever has happened to them and whatever has brought them to my practice today. And they usually have a mask on, so I tell them they can put their mask down, and they want to show me certain things.
Yes.
And then I quickly transition from that building trust to explaining to them that we have this piece of technology that's going to allow us to take a scan of their teeth, and that we're going to look at their teeth together on the screen and discover if Invisalign is a good fit today. And I like to reassure them early on, sometime in that part of the appointment, that there's not going to be any sales pitch, that they're not going to ever be uncomfortable or feel like they're pressured to move forward. This is all about a co-discovery, and if this feels like a good fit, then great, we'll move forward.
For sure. No, sorry, just to kind of chime in there, like I think the fact that I feel like a lot of the times what I tend to see is that people don't really take the time to do discovery. And I mean, even just in sales in general, that is one of the most important things, because people want to feel like they're understood, right? And heard. Yeah, exactly. Right. And especially if they're telling the doctor, because, you're the most important person in the room. I mean, the patient's most important, but, obviously, right. When they get to feel it, they get to tell their story to the doctor. It makes them feel good. Right.
Absolutely.
And then you're basically diagnosing and then you hear their problem, you diagnose, you present, and then it allows you to also present a solution. But you already built all this trust, you already built all this rapport. And it was just by asking the right questions and listening. I feel like a lot of times people just talk and talk and talk, or they blab out some jargon that people don't understand. They get confused, and then you just lost the sale right there, right? So I love that. That's really good. I love what you said, like their dental story. That's really good.
Everybody has one.
Yeah.
They came in prepared to tell it. So if you don't let them tell it, you missed an opportunity.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, no, that's really good. So then you start the scan. You tell them that there isn't going to really be like a suspect. What happens after, they do the scan?
So Luis, you mentioned a good point, because I can have my dental assistant do that scan.
Yes.
But I try to be the one to do it, because there's some value in, if I'm able to in the course of my day, I like to be the one to do that scan. They appreciate that they're getting doctor time in this appointment. So we're trying to make them feel special.
Yes.
So I do the scan, and the scan doesn't take me very long, and we generate that image on the screen. And the iTero is a great piece of equipment. I really love it. I use it every day for more than just Invisalign stuff. And I really, that has been a key point of our success. So almost always when we generate a scan, the patient's response is, wow, that's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
We're now impressing them with a piece of technology.
For sure.
So the iTero scanner has the ability to generate a simulation.
Yes.
And we generate that simulation right on the screen. And then we talk to them about what we see together. We're co-discovering. There is some science that shows that if you can get the patient to touch the screen themselves, it increases their buy rate, their success rate.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
So I'm trying to get them, I invite them, I tell them, hey, you can touch it, you can move it around.
Yeah.
Most of the time they let me do it, but I'm showing them things that I see, corrections that we can make. And the beautiful thing about Invisalign is almost everybody is a candidate.
Yeah.
The technology is really, really good. So it's very rare that I'm telling a patient that we can't help them with Invisalign. So we review the scan, and the simulation. After that's done, then there's an option for us to send that simulation to the patient, to their email. So I'll touch the little button that puts us on the email screen. And this is an opportunity for me to get them to touch the screen. So I'll ask them to type in their own email address on the iTero scanner. They're always happy to do that.
Yes.
Then I explain to them that they're going to get that scan in their email and that they can review it at home. And at this point, I am trying to transition now to Janae. My portion of the appointment is really over, where we are not taking photographs on this patient unless we get a yes. So we take them out of the chair. We believe in discussing financial stuff out of the operatory arena. So we have a consult room. We take them out of the consultation room, and I explain to them that they're going to meet with Janae. And I tell the patient that Janae is an expert. And I use that word because patients are always a little bit nervous and confused about the finances and anything in regard to insurance. They're just like, I don't understand that. Yeah. So I reassure them that we have an expert in the house that can help them with all their financial questions. So that patient goes in to sit with Janae, and she has a really refined process now. She's done this a lot.
Yeah.
We have a form that we use, a treatment plan financial form that allows us to go over these options, these financial options that she has already mentioned. If the patient determines that this is a good fit, before they leave my chair, I tell them, if this is a good fit, if this feels like you want to move forward today, I'm going to have you come back in my chair and I'm going to take some pictures of your teeth, and we can send this off today. And we'll have your aligners back in 3 weeks, because we're trying to get the sale today.
Yes, so you're trying to do a same day start.
If they're going to think about it and come back, my success rate goes way, way down.
For sure. Yeah.
Way down.
I love the fact that you're willing to actually, well, two things. One, that we don't like mess around with the schedule. You just leave an open column and you try to fit them in, because like you said earlier, it's a numbers game, right? And we've had that problem, like when you know, with some of our clients, like they'll block off their schedule for this. But then, you know, I mean, obviously it's always unfortunate when somebody no-shows, right? Especially if they blocked off a time on your calendar and somebody no-shows, obviously that's costing you money.
Do it.
And you know, and it sucks. And we're always trying to figure out ways to drop that, or, you know, to decrease the no-show rate, but that's just part of business, right? I mean, even me, like if I you know, I have doctors that don't show up for our sales calls all the time, right? It's unfortunate, but it's just part of being in business. And anytime you are looking at proactively scaling any type of business, you will always run across that issue, right? But I love the fact that I'm assuming that it doesn't hurt. I mean, obviously it always still hurts, right? But it probably doesn't hurt as much when, oh yeah, like you're just fitting them in. If they just don't show up, well, then you're still good, right? You're still doing your daily. Am I correct in saying that?
In fact, it's a bonus if they come.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's awesome. And then, so, you know, when you also said that, like, you know, hey, it's not a sales, like we're not going to pressure you into anything. How does that translate from you saying that to then passing the ball over to Janelle? Did I get that? Janae, sorry, I apologize. Janae, like, yeah. So like passing the ball to Janae, and then like when you're talking to them, like how do you present it in a way so that it isn't, you know, pressure, right? Because at the same time, you don't want to pressure them, but you also want them to start that same day, right? So how do you balance that act?
Yeah, sure. So the patient is going through a sales experience, let's be honest.
For sure, yeah, 100%.
They are.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel like they're being sold.
Yes. That's the thing, like, nobody likes to be sold, but everybody loves to buy, right?
That's right. So Janae's really good, the same as me. And her part of the appointment is just like mine, in that she's just discovering with them if this is a good fit. Mm-hmm. So she's not sheepish or shy about what we charge for that. Most people aren't surprised to hear, some of them are, but they know it's going to be, you know, that there's going to be an expense here. And so she's just saying, hey, these are your options. And I'm not trying to sell you. This is just what it is. And if it's a good fit, then let's get going.
When it comes to pricing, based off your competitors in the area, would you say you are like me? You know, you're not the most expensive person. You are the most expensive person. You're in the lower end. Like, did you guys come did you guys proactively think about what your pricing was, and how did you come across, like, how did you land on this pricing?
Our fee right now is $59.95, but then we have the promotion, so we're at $49.95, which is pretty much where we sit with a lot of patients. And then sometimes there's a few $100s off if they have insurance and we're a contracted provider. So there's that to take into consideration. When we initially began, I was under the impression that our Invisalign representative, Ashley, she was looking at the competitor rates in this vicinity and was helping us to determine our prices and fees so that we are competitive. And again, but not a loss leader sort of.
So once you get them in the consult room, like, what's the process, so you basically, again, like you said, you're trying to discover if this is something that they can afford or not. And like, what do you tend to see? Like, do you tend to see that people really prefer the lower monthly payment, or they prefer to do a big chunk, or they want to finance? Like, what does that, I guess, process look like when you finally get them in that, in that consult room, and you're talking to them about if they do want to move forward with treatment?
So what I do is I first present the options and I let them know exactly what it includes. I think a standout for our office is that ours is like an all-inclusive plan. So
Yes.
You're also going to be receiving 4 sets of retainers at the end, which I think is a big bonus, and that is included in the fee. And I always really like to highlight that. We're not going to nickel and dime you. Any appointments that you come into the office, there's no copay. You've already paid for it, and satisfaction guaranteed as well. If there's something that needs a little adjusting at the end, say we need to send Invisalign another scan for 1 or 2 more weeks of aligners, we're going to do that at no cost to you. Our main goal is customer satisfaction. So I like to first start off with that. So I let them know what all this includes before I just start throwing numbers at them. Then I start going through the numbers. I say, stop me at any time, because some people already have an idea in mind and they're like, well, I'm going to do the prepayment option. I'm ready to go today. Some people, you can just tell they're ready to go. It doesn't matter what the hurdle is. They've already prepared. Yes. And then other people want me to go through the whole spiel. They never heard of care credit. They have some more learning to do. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of when I'm done speaking about that, I reiterate, or I re-ask, what is their life situation like right now? When your thoughts on starting this is, can we do it today? Because if we can do it today, it's awesome. We can get you a free whitening. But if today's not doable, if you need to speak, is there somebody else that you need to speak to before you get started? A spouse, somebody else that's helping you with finances. And then, if we don't make a decision, at that point, I always set a time for a follow-up. Okay, well, great. I'm glad that you, thanks for taking the time to sit down with me and talk about it. If you have questions on this, please feel free to call me. If you forgot to ask Dr. Dustin something, we're all real knowledgeable here. So just call back and we'll get those answered for you. And if I don't hear from you in 2 weeks, is it okay if I give you a call and check in with you? I always just ask permission to follow up.
Yes, that's awesome.
And then I just make a note for myself on the schedule. That 2-week day, I say, hey, follow up with so-and-so. Mm-hmm. And then we just go from there.
If we do get a no, we're trying to step over that no and invite that person to become a patient in our practice, just as a general dentistry patient.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a lot of patients with Molina or state health insurance. Mm-hmm. That has been a little bit of a barrier. Just that seems like to be kind of a frequent thing. They don't have orthodontic benefits and they already have, like a Molina provider sort of a deal. So we do have like an in-house insurance plan where I go, if you're not happy with the provider that you have for Molina, we have a really great option here. And so I send them home with a little flyer on that as well.
Gotcha.
Luis, I want to emphasize one thing that I think is important. Mm-hmm. If we're going to provide in-house financing, we have to get half the money down.
Yeah. You have to at least cover your lab fees 100%.
Yeah, they have to have skin in the game.
For sure. I also love the fact that you said that you give them an incentive to start today. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But you said that if they do start today, that they'll get free teeth whitening?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's something that we just recently added.
Yes. So I've actually been talking to a lot of our clients about actually implementing something like that because, personally, me, the way that I think about it, and this has actually changed even our business for the better, is that we're creatures of procrastination, right? At the end of the day, like if if we don't have a reason to do something, we're going to put it off a lot of the times, right? And so the way that we're always trying to think about this, and we do this across our entire marketing funnel, sales funnel as well, is I think I ask myself the question of, what can I do to incentivize somebody to take action today versus tomorrow, right? And Dr. Nathan, it's like you said, like once they go home, the chances that ultimately they start, drops, right? And so the idea is like, what can I do to help them get started? And a lot of the times it's just as simple as saying, hey, if you want to go think about it, that's completely fine. Just want to let you know that we do have this as an option. If you get started today, we include X, Y, Z, right? So whatever makes sense. What we've been doing is that we'll tell people that they have 24 hours to let us know. And so that way, if they still want to go home and think about it, that's fine. But then that also positions you in a way where you don't have to be chasing that person down. Even if they go home, they'll still chase you because there's still that incentive for them to do so.
The clock is ticking with them.
Yeah. And so it changes that dynamic, because whenever you don't want to be chasing somebody down, right? And if you do one phone call, like you said, 2 weeks later, because they gave you permission to do that, I think that's perfect. I think, more people should be doing that. But, obviously you don't want to be chasing them down, because that kind of lose your positioning, of authority when you do that, right? And so, kind of flipping the switch there and saying like, hey, just, if you want to go home, think about it. You just have 24 hours. And we've even done one where this is a little bit more, it adds complexity, but just food for thought, where it's like, hey, if you let us know within 3 days, you won't get all the nice things that are in the 1 day deal, right? But you still get something. Right. And so that way it's like, maybe because, whatever, life gets in the way, what have you, they still have that opportunity to still get something, but 3 days in advance. You might want to try that and see if some of those people that didn't start could ultimately just magically come back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that's something just to experiment with if you guys want to. Well, thank you, everybody on the call today. Dr. Nathan, thanks so much for agreeing to jump on and talk to us a little bit more about what you guys are doing to help, get you guys the result that you've been able to get. It's been really insightful. Really, thank you. I guess just like as a final thing, right? For anybody that is considering working with Engage, but they're still unsure, anything like that, what would you say to them?
Well, I was a little unsure at the beginning too.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
I had some reservations and was a little bit unsure, and we just decided to try it. One of the things that I have never liked, and really nobody likes, is a long-term commitment. And Engage did not require a long-term commitment. So I felt like the barrier to entry was low, and we gave it a try, and we've continued to refine our systems. And there's been ups and downs, and some months we just kill it, and some months it's been not as good. And so we keep working on our process, and Engage has been a good partner to, they're working on their process too. Yeah. And the time that we've been together, I think your end, the Engage end, has become sharper and smarter and better. And so I'm excited about this possibility, and I think it's been a good thing for our practice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Nathan. We are really looking forward to the future and helping you just have continued success. Thank you so much.